Welcome to the 6th episode of Photovlogs, where we will be visiting 3 cities in Spain: Barcelona, Valencia, and Madrid. It's kind of hard to believe that it's already been 3 years since this trip, but hey, better late than never. I'm really excited for this video because I really loved this trip. I loved the culture, the people, all of the architecture, and the food. It was just so beautiful, so photographable. It was a good trip. I flew into Barcelona from Manchester, and that flight itself was stunning. I watched the sunset over by the water and quickly descended into the hills of Spain. I made my way to my hostel and settled in for the night. Good morning. I woke up early to start my day and made my way to the Catalonia Square, which is the central square. And oh my gosh, there were so many pigeons just sprawled out all across the floor. I really liked it though. It was just such a quiet and peaceful morning, you know, just watching the sun slowly spill into the plaza and yeah, just watching the world wake up. European architecture never gets old. I'm always in awe of just how historical and intricate it all is. And since I'm in Spain, of course, I had to visit Casa Batlló and Casa Mila, 2 iconic buildings by Antoni Gaudí. If you are unfamiliar, Gaudí is a renowned architect that's known for his, organic and rhythmical style, and a lot of Barcelona's architecture is heavily influenced by Gaudí, which was really, really cool to see in person. I grabbed breakfast at a local cafe, got myself a little pastry and chai, and just journaled. After that, I headed to Park Güell, and let me tell you, that was a trek upwards. Oh my goodness. I did not expect this park to be so high. But we made it, and of course, it was worth it. Park Güell is another creation by Antoni Gaudí, and it was honestly so cool to see how visually striking the park was, and just like how his organic style was really implemented in all of the man-made structures, filled with so much tiles and textures, and how it really blended in with all of the nature that was around it, and it was just, yeah, so beautiful. My next stop was the Sagrada Família, and I have heard amazing things about this place, but nothing would have prepared me for the experience I was about to have, watching it and seeing it in person. I was just speechless. It was the first time a piece of architecture has left me with no words and just in complete awe. The high-rise ceilings, the way the light was pouring in everywhere, the colors, it all just felt so heavenly. I can't fully explain it, but I can show you. To end the day, I headed to Citadel Park, which was just absolutely glowing. The sun was starting to set, people were out, people were playing music, and people were dancing, and it was overall just such a joyful atmosphere, and it really felt like the perfect way to end the day. Good morning. Today's stop is the National Art Museum of Catalonia. Once again, it was a trek to get up there, but it was worth it. I love art museums. I think they are just such a huge source of inspiration, and it's just always so fun to be able to see art in person rather than, you know, consuming it online. And yeah, it was really nice. I walked through the museum, and unfortunately all of the descriptions of all the artworks were completely in Spanish, so I didn't get to understand the full context of it, but it was still fun to just walk through and enjoy some art. There was one painting I really loved. It's called The Public Exhibition of a Painting by Jon Ferrier Miro. It felt like a documentary and a street photo. There's just so much happening within the scene. There's people crowding around a photo shop. Someone was also walking out with a framed picture. There's a boy tying his shoe while his dog waits. And all these pops of red were just like breaking up this neutral palette, and overall I just really loved it. I loved the composition and all of its layers. After the gallery, I walked around the area. The museum sits on like this huge hill, and so it kind of overlooks the city of Barcelona, and you could see the Sagrada Família in the background, and it was just so cool to see, you know, the whole city. And I was just observing all the people, all the nature, and, you know, just following the light. Afterwards, I wandered through Las Ramblas, which is a pedestrian street in Barcelona, and it was midday, so the light was quite harsh, but I tried to play with some of the light and shadows in my photos. I had also walked through the Gothic Quarter and stopped by the Cathedral of Barcelona. Felt like walking through time. I didn't shoot much here, I was mainly just like passing through, but I do have to say, who thought it was a good idea to put this gigantic, massive ad on the cathedral? Horrendous. I stopped by Royal Square, a little square in the Gothic Quarter. The golden light was hitting all the buildings so beautifully, but the sun was starting to run out. To catch the last light of the day and to watch the sunset, I made my way over to the Barceloneta neighborhood. It was so heartwarming to see so many people doing the same thing as me, you know, just sitting on the lawn by the water and just watching the sunset. I found a spot, I sat down and watched the sunset, and it felt like, yeah, the perfect way to end my day in Barcelona. The next morning, I checked out of my hostel and I took a 3-hour train south down to Valencia. Right away, I fell in love with all the palm trees and all the sun-soaked architecture, and I had no real concrete plans for my time here in this city, so I just wanted to take it slow and just walk around the city. I wandered through multiple plazas here, the Queen Square, the Virgin Square, and the Valencia Cathedral. The city felt really warm, peaceful, and vibrant. One spot that stood out to me was the Town Hall Square, and that is Valencia's largest public square. Big surrounding buildings, you know, from the 19th to 20th century were just so stunning. And the way the sun was hitting off of the buildings and onto the people, it was just beautiful. That evening, I just sat in a park journaling during golden hour. After sunset, I grabbed some tapas and I headed back to rest. The next morning, I went to visit the City of Arts and Sciences. I didn't get to go inside, but I just wanted to see the architecture, and it did not disappoint. It felt so futuristic and honestly massive, and I really enjoyed the curvature of all of these buildings. The light reflecting off the glass and water creates some really cool visual elements. That day, since I had no set plans, I looked up what there was to do in Valencia, and you know what came up? Valencia is home to Europe's largest aquarium. I'm not a huge aquarium person, but you know, I figured why not? And oh my god, it was actually so fun. They didn't just have marine animals, they also had birds, flamingos, and way more. The space was huge and so beautifully designed. I spent a lot of hours here, you know, just wandering through all of the exhibits, just like a little kid, and I thoroughly enjoyed everything. I even caught a marine show with the dolphins. After that, I headed to the beach, and I don't remember the name, but you know, I just walked around and enjoyed the golden hour. I spent the evening just walking, observing, and photographing the beach and its people. It was really peaceful and kind of a reflective moment. Solo travel can sometimes get lonely, but the freedom that it gives you is unparalleled. And speaking of freedom, what did my 21-year-old self decide to do? Get a tattoo. I found a local tattoo studio over by the beach, and I made my way there. As soon as I got there, there was a bunch of people sitting outside the studio, and I asked the tattoo artist directly, like, how much would it be for like a simple script like this? He said it would only be like 50 euros, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. In hindsight, I know that's not the smartest decision, and you should definitely do research on your tattoo artist beforehand. But you know what? It was a spontaneous decision, and I was doing it for the plot, and it ended up actually really nice. Afterwards, I treated myself to some paella. You could tell this was my first time because I actually had burnt the roof of my mouth, and it left blisters for days, and so that wasn't fun, but the food was really good. The next morning, I boarded my train to Madrid. I love train rides. I feel like it's just such a nice time to reflect and, you know, watch the world go by, and it always makes me so grateful. Once I arrived, I was completely in awe. European architecture truly never gets old. Unfortunately, there was a lot of construction everywhere, and the weather was also really gloomy, and so I didn't get to shoot that much that day. My first stop was the Prado Museum. Unfortunately, they didn't let you take photos inside, so I didn't get to take any photos. But it was pretty amazing to see significant works by Francisco Goya and the iconic Las Meninas by Diego Velázquez. I had studied that painting in high school, and seeing it in person was actually crazy. I had no idea that painting was 10 feet tall. I was like, whoa. After a few hours at the museum, I wandered to see the Retiro Park, and I was hoping to see the Alcalá Gate, but of course it was under construction, and so, I mean, at least they put a photo of it on top of it. The next day was pretty busy. I visited the main square, and I was just admiring all the buildings. It was really rainy and quiet, and I also wasn't just feeling the best that day, but that's alright, we all have those days. I had stopped by a chocolate shop for some churros, and so I had some thick hot chocolate, must try in Spain. I continued exploring through the neighborhood, and because it was so rainy and gloomy, I just tried to play around with compositions and, you know, with architecture and just trying to identify pops of color. I stopped briefly at the San Miguel market for a bite, and then visited the Almudena Cathedral, where some kind of service was happening. Honestly, I was more focused on not getting soaked. It was just pouring. Eventually, the sun came out just as I reached the royal palace. The way the sun was just reflecting off the buildings and the puddles on the water, it was just divine. Afterwards, since the Sabatini Gardens were nearby, I just wandered through and I was really grateful for some sun. I had wrapped off the day by checking off one more thing on my list, and that was going to the Temple of Dibod. I was hoping for sunset and to be able to capture some of the reflections off of the water that would be there, but there was no sunset. It was really cloudy and there was also no water. But you know what, it's off season, so I really can't fault the city. But still, I just walked around and enjoyed people watching. To end the trip, I visited the Gran Via, which is Madrid's bustling shopping and theater street. Sadly, the main building was under construction, so I wasn't able to see a lot of the structure, but you know what, it's okay. It's November in Madrid, and so it's understandable. And that wraps up my time in Spain. I mean, despite all of the gloomy weather and construction in Madrid, I really had a beautiful time in Barcelona and Valencia. Yeah, I hope one day I'll be able to come back to Madrid to see it in all of its glory. But that's it for this photo vlog. I hope you enjoyed it, and for the next one, I'll be seeing you in Portugal.